Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking on a career narrative that's, well, it's as complex and dramatic as the hit shows she anchored. We're dedicating this deep dive to tracing the life and really the monumental impact of Shannen Doherty, who lived from 1971 to 2024.
Yeah.
Her journey wasn't just your standard Hollywood path. It spanned from being a young child star on the prairie to becoming a defining pop culture icon of the 90s.
Absolutely.
And all while facing just intense media scrutiny, showing incredible resilience, and ultimately waging this very public, decade-long health battle that captivated and often redefined her public persona.
That's exactly right. Our mission today is, it's more than just summarizing the facts. We really need to synthesize this massive amount of source material available on her life.
There's so much.
There is. To provide you with a sort of a clean, analytical, and truly comprehensive map of her professional evolution and her deep personal challenges.
Right.
And crucially, we're aiming to move beyond that persistent, easy tabloid reputation, the iconic Hollywood bad girl label.
Which stuck for so long.
It really did. To understand the lasting cultural impact she had, and importantly, how her own perspective on her life changed over time.
And the sources we've gathered are just vast. They let us trace this fascinating kind of full circle path, literally from Memphis, Tennessee, where she was born, through that explosive fame of the 90s, all the way to her final days in Malibu, California. We'll cover everything. Her early biography, her extensive filmography, those tumultuous years in her personal life.
Yeah.
And, of course, the incredibly brave final chapter of her health struggle. It gives us a really comprehensive look at an actress who consistently defied expectations and often surprised the audiences who thought they knew her best.
Let's unpack this whole history then. Let's start right at the beginning.
Okay, so Shannen Maria Doherty was born April 12, 1971 in Memphis, Tennessee. She was rooted in a distinct Southern upbringing, raised within the structure of her mother's Southern Baptist faith. Now, when her family moved out west, she landed in Los Angeles and received this incredibly unique education that often goes sort of unmentioned in her bio.
It's a really fascinating detail, actually, especially when you think about the role she'd later play. She graduated in 1988 from the Lycée Français de Los Angeles.
French language school.
Yeah, a private French language school. So imagine that contrast. A Southern Baptist upbringing mixed with this classical French language education right in the heart of Hollywood.
That's quite a mix.
It really is. It shows she had a depth and background that kind of belied the later, simpler party girl narrative the media jumped on.
Her professional career kicked off quickly, starting in 1982 with early guest spots on shows that signaled she was immediately entering the orbit of, established industry players. You see her popping up on shows like Voyagers and Father Murphy. And Father Murphy is highly significant because it was created and produced by Michael Landon.
Right. And that Michael Landon connection was, it was a pivotal piece of the puzzle early on. Landon, of course, was one of the biggest television stars and producers of that era.
Huge. Known for wholesome content.
Exactly. Very family-friendly stuff. And at age 11, in 1982, Doherty leveraged that connection and landed her first major recurring role, playing Jenny Wilder on Little House on the Prairie.
And this wasn't just a small part, right? She was involved in the final season, appearing in 18 episodes before that long-running show finally wrapped up in 1983.
Yeah, significant screen time.
So right out of the gate, she established herself in these big-name, long-running TV dramas, kind of crafting an early image as a capable, innocent, and earnest young actor.
She was also diversifying early on, too. That same year, 1982, she lent her voice to the major animated feature film, The Secret of NIMH.
Oh, I remember that. Mrs. Brisby.
Exactly. It's remarkable to think about that early career balance moving pretty seamlessly from the gritty emotional drama of the prairie to the animated fantasy world of NIMH.
Her talent wasn't just recognized internally by producers either. Even as a child, she was securing significant industry buzz. This wasn't just a hobby. She was getting awards recognition almost immediately.
Precisely. In 1984, she was nominated for Best Young Actress, guest in a series at the 6th Youth in Film Awards.
For what?
For an appearance on an early episode of the action show Airwolf.
Airwolf, okay, different vibe.
Totally. This meant she was generating buzz across multiple genres, not just family fare, and this recognition really solidified her place as a young professional actor who was consistently delivering.
And then came what feels like the foundation of her early career, Our House. She starred as Chris Witherspoon, the oldest sibling, on that family drama. That ran from 86 to 88.
Another long-running, stable family show.
Right.
And that performance really cemented her early professional identity, earning her yet another Young Artist Award nomination. These were all roles that cast her as a capable, sometimes a little rebellious, but ultimately sympathetic family member, grounded in moral issues.
What's often overlooked, I think, in her early biography is the theatrical film work that came before her massive television superstardom. Before 90210 took over the world, she actually secured a major theatrical film role in 1985.
Yeah, in the teen comedy Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yes.
And that film is such a fantastic cultural marker. She starred as Maggie Moline alongside Helen Hunt and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Wow, look at that cast.
Right, look at that trio.
Wow.
It places her firmly in the cohort of actresses who would go on to shape 90s television and cinema. It shows she was running parallel to major future talent even then.
So by 1988, she wasn't a novice at all. She was a seasoned working actor, established, nominated for awards in family dramas. But the next phase, starting right around that time, well, that's when everything changed. Her name became synonymous with global fame and almost immediately intense controversy.
Yeah, that transition from the kind of wholesome world of Our House and Little House to global icon actually started with something much sharper, dark comedy. Her first major motion picture role was in 1988's Heathers, where she played Heather Duke.
Such a classic. That film is a satirical masterpiece that still resonates today, and it gave her an immediate edge, didn't it?
It absolutely did. It definitely positioned her in a different sphere, a much sharper, edgier type of high school setting before she ever walked into the halls of West Beverly High.
The duality of her early career is immediately fascinating. She was the edgy Queen Bee in Heathers, a film about social hierarchy and, well, murder.
Right.
And then she became the ultimate audience proxy in 1990 as Brenda Walsh. Nothing prepared the world for the massive cultural phenomena that was Beverly Hills 90210.
She landed that breakout role in the Aaron Spelling-produced series in 1990, and when you say breakout, you mean it in the truest sense of the...
Oh, completely. This show didn't just give her fame. It defined the angst, the fashion, the social narratives for an entire generation.
Worldwide attention is almost an understatement. For her portrayal of Brenda Walsh, she was nominated for the Young Artist Award in both 1991 and 1992. She was the absolute anchor of that show for those early pivotal years, playing the relatable fish-out-of-water twin who, along with her brother Brandon, kind of provided the moral compass for navigating the confusing, glamorous, and often shallow world of wealthy West Beverly High.
But the intensity of that spotlight, combined with the extreme pressure of leading a massive global hit, well, it led to her first highly publicized departure. She left the show after the 4th season in 1994.
And this exit wasn't quiet. It was a media spectacle. It really marked the start of a pattern in her career, these dramatic, high-profile shifts, where she was seemingly pushed out of major hits.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into the surrounding drama in the next section, but for now, it's just key to understand that this first departure fundamentally shifted her trajectory and her public image.
Right.
After leaving 90210, her career shifted a bit, focusing mostly on made-for-TV movies and thrillers, but she did maintain a presence in cinema with some pretty iconic, quirky roles.
Yeah, she had a lead role in Kevin Smith's 1995 cult film Mallrats, playing Renee Maugier.
Mallrats. Classic Kevin Smith.
Exactly, and that Kevin Smith connection is key because it sort of cemented her status as this counterculture or independent icon, contrasting sharply with her mainstream television fame.
Right, totally different audience.
She later cameoed, reprising the role in the 2001 film Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. This showed she was successfully navigating multiple, often opposing, fandoms.
Speaking of her mainstream profile and the intense media attention around her image, this was also the era of her highly publicized appearances in Playboy. She appeared nude in the magazine in December 1993, followed by a second spread in March 1994.
And these appearances perfectly coincided with her departure from 90210, almost signaling this deliberate shedding of the innocent Brenda Walsh image.
Right, pushing back.
In favor of a much more mature, provocative public persona.
And she revisited that part of her public profile nearly a decade later, didn't she? She posed again for the magazine in December 2003, this time featured in a detailed 10-page pictorial.
Yeah, that recurring connection to the magazine speaks volumes about the constant public interest in her image and maybe her strategic willingness to control, curate, and frankly, monetize that image across her career decades.
Definitely trying to take control.
Then came the second major television collaboration with Aaron Spelling. Charmed. She returned to television in 1998 as Prue Halliwell, the oldest of the three witch sisters.
Another huge role.
Absolutely huge. Defined the era of fantasy television.
The role of Prue Halliwell wasn't just a massive hit. It was critically important for her professionally. It shows she could lead another network hit and establish a beloved character with real supernatural gravitas.
Yeah, it proves she wasn't just Brenda Walsh.
Right. She was an actress capable of immense range and power.
And she didn't just star in the show. She began exploring work behind the camera, which demonstrated her ambition and maybe her desire for more control.
Oh, yeah.
She directed 3 episodes during seasons 2 and 3 of Charmed, including that memorable Western special titled The Good, the Bad, and the Cursed.
Wait, I have to pause on this detail because this is what makes her story so unique, I guess. History repeated itself.
It did.
Leading to her second, controversial, high-profile departure from a massive hit show. She left Charmed at the end of the 3rd season in 2001. Her character, Prue, was killed off in the episode All Hell Breaks Loose.
And here's the crucial, almost unbelievable twist you just highlighted. Shannen Doherty actually directed that very episode.
No way.
Yes. She was literally behind the camera overseeing the death of her own character, the final punctuation mark on her time with the series.
That gives the entire conflict an almost, I don't know, Shakespearean layer of drama. She oversaw the execution of her own character after the on-set tensions apparently became too much.
It's an astonishing demonstration of, I guess, professional obligation meeting intense personal drama.
Totally.
The sources indicate that her departure from Charmed was reportedly caused by significant on-set and off-set tensions with her co-star, Alyssa Milano.
Here we go again.
Right. This immediately became another major tabloid story, echoing and amplifying the earlier conflicts on the 90210 set. She was once again being defined by these acrimonious departures.
But even with these controversial exits, the character she played left such an indelible mark. They were almost instantly legendary. In 2004, E! Placed her at number 10 on their 50 Most Wicked Women of Primetime list.
Right. And the power of Prue Halliwell endured. In 2007, AOL named Prue the 9th greatest witch in television history.
Wow.
What's fascinating is that the cultural weight of the characters she created was so immense that it often overpowered the negative media narratives, guaranteeing her place in pop culture history regardless.
That immense cultural success, however, just served as this volatile backdrop for the real story that began to dominate the headlines. The persona of the iconic Hollywood bad girl. Let's peel back that layer now, because this reputation truly defined her life for, 2 decades.
You mentioned it earlier. Her reputation for bad behavior wasn't just gossip. It became the dominant lens through which the public and, frankly, her industry viewed her for much of the 1990s.
Yeah.
People magazine really solidified this narrative, calling her the iconic Hollywood bad girl of the 90s.
That narrative was so intense, particularly during her time on 90210, between 92 and 94. Tabloid coverage seemed entirely focused on alleged fighting among cast members, heavy partying, habitual on-set lateness.
The usual suspects.
Right, the standard signs of a star maybe buckling under pressure. She became this lightning rod for celebrity scrutiny. At the very moment, celebrity journalism was just exploding.
And the most sensationalized element was that heated feud with her co-star, Jenny Garth. The sources confirmed detailed reports that this feud escalated beyond just verbal arguments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at one point in 1993, it involved physical violence between Doherty and Garth right there on the 90210 set.
Wow, on set.
On set. That is an almost unbelievable level of on-set toxicity for a massive, supposedly family-friendly hit show.
And what gave this negative reputation real weight was that the reports weren't exclusively coming from the gossip columns. Executive producers of 90210 actually felt compelled to comment publicly.
That's never good.
No. Darren Star and Charles Rosin both confirmed she was difficult to work with. Rosin specifically commented that her habitual lateness was appalling, and he cited her callous attitude and an indifference.
Oof. Producer commentary like that is just damning in Hollywood. It gave substantial official weight to the negative reputation she was earning, cementing this idea that she was difficult to manage and unpredictable.
And the fan response was immediate and organized. We're talking about a level of fan animosity that gave rise to an actual organized campaign against her character, Brenda.
You're kidding.
No. The zine Ben is Dead published a newsletter called I Hate Brenda at the height of the show's popularity.
Okay, think about that for a moment. The cultural impact of a fictional character and the actress playing her was so severe that fans were organized enough to publish a newsletter hating on her.
And it gets weirder. They even operated a Shannen snitch line.
A snitch line? What for?
For people to call in gossip about a 22-year-old actress. That level of intense, organized scrutiny and public desire to see a celebrity fail is almost unimaginable today, even with the speed of social media.
That's wild. And the narrative only gained more ground when she moved to Charmed, right?
Exactly. The tabloids immediately fueled rumors of a feud between her and co-star Alyssa Milano. The sources indicate that the fallout was so severe that she was allegedly fired by Aaron Spelling again after Milano issued an ultimatum about a hostile workplace environment.
So by 2001, she had two high-profile, acrimonious departures from two massive Aaron Spelling hits. For a long time, this was her entire public identity, the talented actress who simply could not get along with her co-stars or management. It overshadowed everything else.
What's fascinating here, though, and what really shows her capacity for growth, I think, is the evolution of that narrative over time and the eventual public reconciliations and reflections.
Right. Years later, Jenny Garth addressed the feud, admitting that the conflict was mutual and stemmed from immaturity.
She said that.
Yeah, Garth specifically said they had times when they wanted to claw each other's eyes out, but she later clarified that the two became friends and were able to move past that immaturity.
Okay.
This later perspective suggests that the conflict was less about a single bad girl and maybe more about two young, highly competitive women working under overwhelming pressure.
That makes sense. And Shannen Doherty herself provided significant self-reflection on this reputation later in life. She admitted to making mistakes, attributing the behavior to the pressures of overwhelming fame, her youth, and personal problems she was struggling with privately.
Her quote from 2010 is really telling because it shows accountability and growth. She was quoted saying, "I have a rep. Did I earn it? Yeah, I did.
Wow, owning it.
But after a while, you sort of try to shed that rep because you're kind of a different person. You've evolved, and all of the bad things you've done in your life have brought you to a much better place."
That quote shows a genuine acknowledgement of her past actions and a determined desire to control her future narrative. It's quite powerful.
It really is. She was such a recognizable symbol of Hollywood dysfunction during the mid-90s that her reputation even inspired satire outside of her industry.
Like what?
We found mention of a satirical farce called Shannen Doherty Shoots a Porno, a shockumentary.
You're joking.
Nope. Written by Billy Birmingham, it ran in Chicago from 1994 to 1997.
For 3 years. Wow. When your persona is fueling years of theatrical parody in a major U.S. city, you know you've become a cultural shorthand.
Exactly. It raises the important question. How do you even try to redefine yourself after a decade of such intense negative media focus, especially when that negative image is literally generating material for artists outside of Hollywood?
That need for redefinition is exactly what seems to characterize her later career moves. Instead of just chasing traditional roles, she started experimenting aggressively across different formats: hosting, reality TV, production. She clearly sought ways to control her own image and her output.
Yeah, the early 2000s saw her experimenting across genres, trying to find new footing outside of those huge dramatic soaps. She hosted the Sci-Fi Channel candid camera show Scare Tactics during its initial season in 2003.
Scare Tactics. Okay, that was an interesting choice, right? Using her edgy reputation to inject a little danger into hidden camera stunts.
Kind of leaning into it, yeah. She also returned briefly to that primetime soap world in 2004, starring in the short-lived series North Shore as Alexandra Hudson.
I vaguely remember that one.
But perhaps the most telling pivot was her foray into reality television, where she became kind of a pioneer in self-produced content designed to leverage or maybe reform her image.
Okay, like what?
In 2006, she produced and starred in her own reality show, Breaking Up with Shannen Doherty on the Oxygen Channel.
Breaking Up with Shannen Doherty. What was the premise?
It was utterly unique. She performed dirty work for members of the public, like dumping their boyfriends or delivering harsh truths they couldn't deliver themselves.
Okay, that concept sounds completely tailor-made to lean into her bad girl reputation. Using that image as a utility, like a hired gun who isn't afraid to cause drama on someone else's behalf.
It's almost a meta commentary on her own public image, wasn't it?
Totally.
It was a very strategic move, using her notoriety almost like a shield. However, that strategy didn't really translate into ratings success.
No, it didn't.
No, the show was canceled after only one season due to poor ratings. Following that, in 2007, she shifted focus again and set up her own production company called No Apologies.
No Apologies. Okay.
With the stated intention of developing a TV drama for herself, this further demonstrates her determination to control her material, tell the stories she wanted to tell on her own terms.
But the television world eventually pulled her back to her roots, didn't it? In 2008, the return of Brenda Walsh felt almost inevitable.
It did. She joined the CW television network's 90210 spinoff as a guest star, reprising Brenda, who is now written as a successful theater actress and stage director.
How many episodes was she in?
She returned for 4 initial episodes, and the sources reported she earned a pretty substantial $40,000 to $50,000 per episode for that appearance.
Wow.
A clear indicator of the value and star power Brenda Walsh still commanded, even 14 years later.
And the writers were keen to exploit the lingering drama, right?
Mm.
Having her share scenes with Jenny Garth, who also returned as Kelly Taylor.
Oh, definitely. Initially, there were persistent rumors that the writers planned a romantic competition between their characters over the new character, Ryan Matthews, kind of echoing their old rivalry over Dylan McKay from the 90s.
Did that happen?
Both Doherty and Garth denied those reports, suggesting they were ready to move past the rivalry narrative in their professional capacity, at least. She returned for 3 additional episodes in 2009.
Okay.
It showed a willingness from the network and the audience to embrace her return, signaling that maybe the years had softened some of that old animosity.
And the character of Brenda Walsh truly bookended her career, in a way. Her final television return to the role came in 2019 for the 6-episode sequel series, BH 90210. It's remarkable to think she started and virtually finished her major network career with the character that initially made her famous and infamous.
Absolutely. And beyond acting and producing, she explored many other ventures that emphasize her global brand. Early in this period, back in 1995, she actually became the face of K-beauty cosmetics in South Korea.
Really? In 95?
Yeah, reportedly signing a contract worth $250,000.
That's a huge sum for that time, and for K-beauty back then. It underscores that her fame was truly global, not just a U.S. thing.
Exactly. To be a major spokesperson for a South Korean cosmetic company during the height of her perceived controversy confirms her status as an international brand ambassador. Her fame transcended the tabloid drama.
Interesting. What else?
She even branched into print media, serving as an art director for Pasadena Magazine in early 2009.
Art director. Okay, that signals her consistent desire to engage with visual arts and production outside of her on-screen acting roles.
Definitely. We also saw her lean heavily back into reality television, but this time the goal seemed clearly more about vulnerability, not utility.
How so?
Shannen says a 1-hour reality series on WETV in 2012 followed her and her fiancé Kurt Iswarienko as they planned their wedding.
Okay, so contrast this with the earlier Breaking Up show. Shannen says offered a much more intimate, controlled view of her personal life, showing her navigating mundane things like wedding planning.
Right. It felt like an attempt to show the world the settled, grown-up Shannen, rather than the rebellious icon.
And in 2015, she reunited with her charmed co-star Holly Marie Combs for another reality project called Off the Map with Shannen and Holly.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
It was a road trip series following them traveling across the southeastern U.S., giving the audience this direct, casual look at their long-standing friendship.
Which was nice to see, given the charmed drama narratives. During this later period, she also took on various independent and action film roles, diversifying her portfolio with films like the indie satire Burning Palms in 2008 and the action film Fortress in 2021. She was continuously working, demonstrating versatility.
There's also a detailed note here about her involvement in the Heathers television series reboot.
Oh, right, where she played the mother of one of the new Heathers. That series, originally set for 2018, faced major setbacks due to its incredibly dark tone.
Yeah, this is a critical detail in understanding the sometimes fraught relationship between art and the cultural climate. The show was delayed and ultimately pulled by the network in June 2018 following the horrific Parkland school shooting.
Because of the content.
Specifically because of the show's dark tone and themes of high school violence. It was eventually aired over just 5 nights in October 2018, long after the planned premiere, and with really minimal fanfare.
Wow. That incident is a perfect cultural time capsule, isn't it? It shows how even a veteran actress's project can be derailed, not by poor quality or behind-the-scenes drama, but by real-world tragedy and the network's fear of the cultural context.
Yeah, a fascinating data point on the censorship boundary lines of dark comedy.
If we look at her personal life during this entire era, it was also marked by deep turbulence. which often just fueled the media's hunger for conflict.
Right.
Her early years saw that brief engagement to Max Factor heir Dean J. Factor, who eventually filed a restraining order against her, alleging physical violence.
And even in this intensely personal moment, the narrative immediately splits. It's not just a personal crisis,
Yeah.
it becomes this public battle of whose truth do you believe?
Exactly. Her father countered the restraining order, claiming the abuse came from Factor, just adding to the public spectacle and her existing troubled image.
Her early marriages were famously quick, too. She married Ashley Hamilton in October 1993.
Son of George Hamilton.
Right. Divorcing 6 months later, her 2002 marriage to Rick Salomon was annulled after only 9 months.
Yeah, short-lived. It wasn't until 2011 that she seemed to find a lasting relationship with photographer Kurt Iswaryenko. They married in Malibu that October.
We should also note her distinct political identity, which often set her apart in Hollywood, a town traditionally dominated by liberal politics.
That's true. She was a registered Republican, stating in 2012 that while the majority of the entertainment industry might be Democrats, she had no problem with that, and they should have no problem with the fact that I'm a Republican.
That statement kind of encapsulates her persona perfectly. Always willing to stand apart, always willing to defy the consensus, regardless of the potential consequences.
Definitely. And amidst all of this, the career shifts, the reality shows, the personal drama, she also suffered a terrible external loss in 2018. She lost her house in the devastating Woolsey fire in November of that year.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that. That blend of intense personal drama, political individuality, and external catastrophe just makes the foundation of her final chapter even more poignant and demanding.
Yeah, because right when she was maybe starting to solidify her image as a mature professional, a working producer, and a happily married woman, the defining battle of her life began.
This final chapter of her life shifted the public narrative entirely, didn't it? Replacing the bad girl image with one of fierce, brave, and very public resilience.
It really did. It's important to note, though, that she had a long history of health struggles. She revealed back in 1999 that she had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Right, so this wasn't her first encounter with chronic illness.
No. But the primary battle, the one that became so public, began in March 2015 with the diagnosis of stage 3 breast cancer, which had already spread to her lymph nodes.
And here is where a deeply frustrating and complex legal element enters the story, one that dramatically impacted her treatment timeline.
Yeah, this is tough. Doherty alleged that her employer at the time failed to make her insurance payments promptly, causing her coverage to lapse between 2014 and 2015.
So she lost her insurance.
That's what she alleged. And this alleged lapse is crucial because she claimed it resulted in a delayed diagnosis, meaning the cancer wasn't discovered until it had already spread significantly.
Oh my God. The pain of realizing a potentially manageable illness was advanced due to, like, a bureaucratic failure must have been just devastating.
Unimaginable. Her treatment path was aggressive. She initially sought a lumpectomy via anti-estrogen treatment. However, the presence of multiple tumors made the lumpectomy impossible.
So she had to have.
She underwent a unilateral mastectomy in May 2016.
Okay.
Surgery then revealed that the cancer was actually more advanced than doctors had initially expected, confirming that some cells may have spread beyond the lymph nodes.
Which meant more treatment.
Exactly. This necessitated a painful, lengthy regimen of chemotherapy and radiotherapy afterward.
There was a moment of profound relief, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And public celebration in April 2017 when she announced that her cancer was officially in remission.
Yes. It felt like a victorious conclusion to this harrowing public battle. But the cancer, true to its insidious nature, was far from gone.
The recurrence was announced in February 2020.
Mm-hmm. The cancer had returned, had metastasized, and had advanced to stage 3. From there, the updates she shared publicly became increasingly stark, but always delivered with this unflinching honesty.
Yeah. In June 2023, she announced that the cancer had spread to her brain and was terminal.
The relentless spread continued, and she kept the public informed every step of the way. By November 2023, she revealed that the cancer had also spread to her bones.
Yet even in the face of this terminal diagnosis, she showed this incredible fighting spirit and an almost journalistic dedication to documenting her battle.
Absolutely. In January 2024, she shared a moment of profound hope, calling it a miracle.
What was it?
She revealed that she was undergoing a new cancer treatment infusion that was successfully breaking through the blood-brain barrier. This willingness to share every step, the good and the terrifying, really defined her final years and offered, I think, hope and transparency to countless others battling cancer.
That detail is utterly heartbreaking, though.
Mhm.
The convergence of a mortal health battle with such profound legal and personal betrayal. Even as she fought her illness, she was dealing with intense personal turmoil regarding her marriage.
Right. In April 2023, she filed for divorce from her husband, Kurt Iswaryenko.
And the divorce process itself became public and horribly fraught, didn't it? Putting immense stress on a woman who just needed peace.
Yeah. In legal filings in June 2024, just weeks before she died, she claimed that her estranged husband was deliberately attempting to prolong the proceedings.
This allegation is shocking. The sources quote her allegation that he was acting in hopes that I die before he is required to pay me spousal payments.
Can you imagine? The profound legal betrayal caused her immense pain. She spoke openly about the distress this caused on her podcast, let's be clear.
What did she say?
She called the public divorce process exhausting, especially when she said she truly loved him and felt betrayed by his actions during her most vulnerable period. How do you manage the dual stress of fighting terminal cancer while fighting for financial security against the person who is supposed to be your partner? It's just a tragedy layered upon a crisis.
And here is the absolutely heartbreaking timeline of her final days.
Yeah.
The terms of her divorce agreement were finalized the day before her death on July 12, 2024.
The day before. Wow.
And a Los Angeles judge formally declared the couple officially divorced 2 days after she died.
Shannen Doherty died on July 13, 2024, at age 53 from cancer at her home in Malibu, California. She was cremated according to her wishes.
And even in her final months, she was working diligently. In December 2023, she launched her podcast, Let's Be Clear, with Shannen Doherty, produced by iHeartRadio.
Right. She explicitly used it as a memoir and a platform to discuss her past mistakes, her present fight, and her future desires. An explicit attempt to finally control her own narrative.
And her professional legacy continues, even through posthumous releases, demonstrating her dedication right up until the very end. About a week before she died, she recorded 5 episodes for the new iteration of The House of Halliwell.
The Charmed Rewatch podcast.
Yeah, the Charmed Rewatch discussion, which she had helped to fund. These episodes were released afterward to honor her memory.
One of the most powerful details that we absolutely must acknowledge comes from her best friend and Charmed co-star, Holly Marie Combs.
What did she say?
Combs revealed that Doherty actively refused to be remembered as the actress who had cancer.
Okay.
Instead, she wanted recognition for her commitment to animal activism. Combs noted that one of Doherty's final efforts was trying to establish a sanctuary for wild horses.
That focus on her activism is such a defining piece of her final wishes for her legacy, a deliberate shift away from both the bad girl narrative and the illness narrative. She was telling the world, I am defined by my work for causes bigger than myself.
When we look back at the arc of Shannen Doherty's life, it is just a truly dramatic journey. It goes from a child star learning the ropes on the prairie to becoming a defining voice of Gen X television, only to be constantly marred by controversy and then ultimately characterized by this fierce self-advocacy and an incredibly brave public battle with cancer.
Her impact was genuinely international, proving she was a global pop culture icon long before social media cemented that status for others. In the immediate aftermath of her death, French television channels actually canceled scheduled programs to pay tribute to her.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Channel Sixter and AB1 aired tribute nights featuring Charmed, Little House on the Prairie, and 90210. The rating success of the Sixter tribute night was so significant that the channel decided to rebroadcast Charmed every Friday night afterward.
That international response confirms that her characters transcended borders and her death resonated deeply, not just in Hollywood, but worldwide. She lived a life perpetually under the microscope, one that was constantly defined by external narratives, the rebellious icon, the difficult co-star, the cancer fighter.
And yet, she spent her last months launching a podcast, Let's Be Clear, to actively rewrite her narrative and using her final energy to advocate for wild horses.
Yeah.
We have this clear, definitive instruction from her on how she wants to be remembered.
This brings us to the ultimate challenge of this deep dive, I think. She fought so hard in her final years not to be defined by her illness, emphasizing her growth and her activism instead. But given how heavily the source material details the bad girl narrative of the 90s, the intimate accounts of her health battles, and that profound legal betrayal right up until the end, we are left to reflect on the ultimate challenge of celebrity. The challenge of controlling one's own legacy versus the one the media and the public ultimately create.
So we have to ask, which of those images, the rebellious icon, the resilient fighter, or the devoted activist, truly prevails in the public memory? And can the public ever grant a celebrity the agency to define themselves? Or will we always prefer the dramatic narrative that was written for them? That's the thought we leave with you to explore.